self-building things are awesome, but the problem with self-building things in Minecraft is, generally speaking, they're not very good at unself-building. Take, for example, a self-building house. You build the redstone contraption, then you build up the house that goes inside the redstone contraption, you activate the redstone contraption once, your house gets built, and then, well, the house stays there. Your self-building house is now just a house. I mean, you could have built it by hand. And that is where this video is going to be a little bit different. Making use of the Minecraft Create mod, I'm going to create a base that builds itself and then unbuilds itself at the press of a button. This is going to be very, very interesting indeed. So, first things first, I need to clear out an absolutely massive area underneath this platform right here. This platform being where I'm actually going to be constructing the main structure. Next, I need to super glue all of these blocks together. So now this entire area will move in unison. It's as if the entire thing is made out of slime blocks. Superglue is definitely a feature that I would love to see in vanilla Minecraft. Now, I sincerely hope that this idea for this setup is actually going to work. So I'm going to place this block in here. This is our pivot block. And then underneath, I'm going to create another layer of grass. Now, I'm hoping I shouldn't have to explain everything that I'm doing here. I'm hoping that I should just be able to activate it, and then you'll see where I'm heading. That is, if it does actually function. And I apologize for the fact that you totally couldn't see there. So here goes. Is this whole idea actually going to work? I don't know. What just happened? That didn't look... Okay, I don't even know what to say. What? No, that's not worked. So, I've rebuilt it, re-supergluing everything. Now let's see. I think the issue is that our main block right here wasn't actually superglued to anything, so it rotated, but it didn't rotate the rest of the platform. And I mean, we're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. The issue is offhand supergluing doesn't actually work how I expected it to. For example, I thought if in this situation I placed down a block that's superglued, it would superglue all sides, but actually it only superglues in the direction that you're facing. I could be totally incorrect, but that would explain why this isn't working. And to be fair, the example that I've just shown does show that that's how it works, so I'm fairly certain that I'm correct, but then again, I am stupid. It is now time for the third attempt. I never want to build another grass platform again. Wow! That was awesome! That was so cool! Alright. Okay. So that shows that this is likely to work. And it goes back to being grass as well, which is one thing that I was worried about. I was worried that I was going to be left with a layer of dirt. This is fantastic. Let's get some of these little details sorted out. And now it's quite a bit cleaner. So on this side, we've got our hidden side. And then on this side is where our base is going to be. Or at least the house part of the base. I've got some pretty big plans for what's going to be going around it. Now, I would say a high-tech contraption like this deserves a high-tech looking house. So I'm going to try my best to channel my inner architect and make something at least somewhat visually interesting. Hopefully it's not visually interesting because it's so awful that you can't look away from it. However, things did start heading in that direction, so I think we're going to start again. I want to go back to making complicated mechanical structures, not pretty things. This is way too difficult. I honestly have no idea what I'm doing at this point in time. I mean, just look at this mess. It is a mess. It is 100% a mess. I'm curious if it's a working mess, though. I mean, it almost is. And that is honestly one of the silliest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I really can't wait for this thing to be done, but for the time being, just starting again. And finally, after a lot of fiddling, this is the structure that I've ended up with. It's fairly similar to the one that I started off with, but it's just proportioned a lot better. Things make sense. Things actually line up. And I have to say, I think it's really cool. I mean, this area down here is a little bit cramped, but this area up at the top is really, really nice. I like it, and I especially like it because it means that now I can focus on what I really enjoy, which is all the mechanical bits. Now, the chances of this thing performing a full rotation on the first try are absolutely zero, but with that being said, there is a chance. There, I've forgotten to attach basically the whole top half. How have I managed to do that? I guess a really easy way to fix this problem is actually to run along and attach or put super glue on the bottom of all of these things, and then it should, when it comes back around, just stick straight to it. This is likely very wishful thinking, but I guess it is worth a try. So that is that. There's been an improvement, and after a few rotations, it is now working, and it looks like nothing I've ever seen in Minecraft before. I mean, just look at this. It is ridiculous. It's totally stupid. It's ridiculous. it kind of doesn't compute in my brain, but also does compute. Like, it makes total sense. It kind of looks sort of Minecrafty-ish. But then, on the other hand, it looks completely out there. And like something that you would never ever see in Minecraft. Honestly, I'm miffed. I am miffed and quite possibly bamboozled. This is ridiculous. But currently it's being powered by a creative motor, which isn't that interesting. So let's get all of the mechanics in place. And I've been looking around in some of the settings and I've found that actually you can use an encased fan to generate power, and you do it making use of something hot underneath the fan, which then turns the fan. So let's see. I'm guessing that I've done this wrong here. It turns out I need to power it with a lever and then it will work, and that is a very low stress capacity right there. I mean, surely the system will be overstressed with this. No, no, amazingly not. Amazingly, we're able to rotate an entire house using the power from that one fire there. I'm not going to question it. I'm quite happy about that. I mean, what is the stress right now? How much stress is going through this system? Let's see. Only 25%. That only uses 16 to rotate an entire house. Once again, I'm not going to question it. So I will eventually fill this house with all the things that need to go in this house, but now I want to do the surroundings of this thing. You see, all my favorite Minecraft bases have border walls going around the outside, and I love the idea of having a border wall that pops up out of the ground, and then importantly can retract back into the ground once I'm done with it. So this is the wall design that I want to go for. Now the issue with this system is that for this wall to pop up, I need to move some grass out of the way, because otherwise our wall is going to be wearing a little grass hat. Now the good news is doing this isn't particularly complicated, and I can actually make it work using conventional redstone, which is pretty refreshing. So we just have all of these pistons right here. When I flick this lever, everything pushes across. Things are rotating. Where did that power? That's interesting. Okay, so a gearbox is considered a solid block, and that has actually powered this. That is not what I expected. That is not what I expected in the slightest. Encased fans are also solid blocks. That is also interesting. So having worked around that situation a little bit, I now have the front section reveal all done and dusted, so that's going to make way for our fences. Time to do all the bits around the edges, which are actually a little bit harder than you would expect, because I have to add a delay into this redstone line right here, but then I need to make sure that it doesn't come back and power the other redstone lines, and it's all a big issue, really. This is not the thing that I expected to stump me, but I'm stumped a little bit. I think it's because I've been playing with so much create mod that I'm actually forgetting how to do certain redstone things. Anyway, I think this has every potential to actually function. So instead of getting the power from the inside using a redstone line, I'm actually making use of observers, which are going to one-tick pulse those pistons. And it didn't quite work, but that's because the delay was too little on these bottom ones. Now, if I try it again, that's not worked for another reason. And now if we try it again, nice. Okay, it is now functioning, and after quite a lot of redstone wiring, now everything is fully hooked up. So everything has been moved out the way. That clears the space for our little fences that are going to pop up around this thing. As I said earlier, this was not the part that I expected to be challenging, but it ended up really throwing me for a bit of a loop. But now that it's done, it's time for the pop-up systems. So here is our little fence design, and then down at the bottom here, we're going to have a mechanical piston. I think that's what these things are called. Yeah, sticky mechanical piston that is going to attach to this fence module that is all super glued together, and that's going to push it through. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 blocks, I believe it needs to be pushed. And then if we wind this thing, when that reaches the top, that should be fully out. Yeah, there we go. So that is what it is going to look like, which already I think is super cool. And I can't wait to see these things working together. However, there's still a little bit of logic that needs to be programmed in. So all of this grass needs to be moved out the way so the fence can go up. And then on the retraction, the fence needs to come all the way down to the bottom, and then the grass moves back in. So I've got the pulse extender up at the top, which should control when these things move. And now I'm just trying to work out the system for the popping up of the fences. And I want to see what this looks like. Oh my goodness, it is the greatest thing in the history of mankind ever. Is that not the coolest thing in the world? I mean, it could be a little bit faster, but then I do also quite like the slowness. There is something in the slowness that makes it even more amazing. I just want it known that I really shouldn't be using encased fans here because they are absolutely pants, but now I'm committed. So let's get a feel for the timings here. If I flick this lever, our grass should move out the way, and here comes our fences. So that is all timed properly and everything is working well. They will eventually pop up and stick at the top. Fantastic. That looks brilliant. And then if I flick this lever, they should start dropping down, and then once they drop below the level, everything should close up. Amazing. Has that worked? Did the fences break? The fences did not break. Okay, we can actually use this. And if I fill in all of these blocks here, then it won't look quite so ugly as they're popping out of the ground. Our next corner is popping up. This one is now all redstone-ified. Time to work on the other side. And now time to work on the final side. This thing is now all completed. It is all completed. And it is all looking incredibly good. Incredibly secure. This honestly looks like a bit of a compound, to be quite frankly honest with you, but I kind of like it. So let's get our hidden activation device all set up. And now let's connect up all of the redstone, which I think, yeah, I should be able to do kind of through here somehow. And with all that sorted, now it's just getting all the chests and the crafting tables and the beds and things inside our house. And now everything is all completed. So here we are. We've got a completely empty space of land. You would have absolutely no idea that an entire compound lies underneath this thing. But if we chuck down a redstone torch, you can see that everything begins to happen. So our house begins to rotate round, which immediately looks just completely bonkers. And then all of the walls start popping up out of the floor. So there we go. We have got ourselves a compound, a full, very nice looking modern house that has just appeared out of nowhere. It's just popped up from underneath the ground. And look, we've got furnaces, we've got chests, we've got crafting benches. If we go up to the top here, we've got a nice sofa. We've got some more chests, anvils, crafting benches again. The only thing that I wasn't able to install is a bed, because when it's upside down, the bed breaks, so that means you lose it. I was actually quite surprised to see that the anvil works, but if we just pop outside, you'll see that it works in a slightly unconventional fashion, in that when I rotate this thing around, you can see that it actually just falls. It falls out the way, but then when it rotates back around, thankfully it falls back into the same position. So I guess, I mean, you know, sometimes you just have unconventional fixes to certain problems that come up in your head. So here it is. This is my self-building base. My dream self-building and also self-hiding base. I mean, this is completely ridiculous. It's so cool. I mean, look at that. Just look at it. It's bonkers. It's bonkers, it's bonkers, it's bonkers. I absolutely love the create mod. You know, I'm going to be playing this. I'm going to be playing this for a long time. I can see myself just getting fully addicted to this. I mean, this is ridiculous. Right. Well, I'm going to end the video here because otherwise it's going to be me doing that for the next 30 minutes. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya. And just so you know, seriously, I have been doing a lot of thinking recently about potentially doing a little bit of survival action in a very tiny mod pack, like just a couple of mods. I don't want anything ridiculous, things like create, things like redstone plus or whatever I played with before, carpet mod, stuff like that. I am curious.